Good morning, it's Harvey Jackson. Just going to get through some news items here. Sask crop report came out yesterday, 52% planted. And then there's crude oil is going down based on talks and uh, an extension of a ceasefire, that kind of stuff here. So just have a quick look here. You can see 52% planted. It's not the worst pace the last few years, but it's bordering on it, and the market is maybe a little bit uneasy, but you can see that spring wheat is 52% planted. Canola is at 38%. And when you look at moisture, there isn't really a whole lot of concerns. There's maybe some concerns of too much moisture in some regions, but not as much as too much moisture is I know it's frustrating, but the markets do not want to price in too much moisture at this time of year. Fall, they might price in that as a problem, but there's so many areas that it's just replenishing soil moisture. So you can see that there's still this area that needs to get planted. And there's some pockets in there too, and it could be just their weather maps or their weather stations. And Manitoba Ag has the same problem when they start putting out maps. Seems to be pretty localized around weather stations. Whether that's actually true or not, I don't know. Soil moisture, there isn't any real problems anywhere in Saskatchewan. Cohort down in Australia, or a colleague that I've been in contact with, for the last few years. Planting in Australia is well underway and is expected 11% reduction in planted area nationally. We forecast Australian wheat production at 28 million metric tons. So this is part of that, part of the other countries that are reducing wheat too. So the top 7 largest exporters are going to have a lot less production to sell. So wheat, there's some good things in store for wheat for this coming year if there's any problems or hiccups in any of the production areas. On the canola side, that he wrote, forecast that global canola production at 94 million metric tons, down 1.6% per year. At this early point in the season, we forecast global stocks to drop 16% to 10.3 million metric tons. Global canola use is forecast at to rise 3%, and a lot of that's coming from Canada. Iran war, U.S. says very close to deal. All eyes on Trump to agree. So Trump is the last line to be able to sign this memorandum of understanding. It's an extension for the ceasefire, and actual have formal sit-down meetings rather than maybe going through Pakistan to negotiate them. It's hard to say. U.S. may cede ground on Hezbollah during Iran talks, and you can see right here in this bottom one, that's going to upset Israel for sure. They do not. Israel does not want that to happen. Trump's room to maneuver narrows as U.S. Iran close the framework. Proposed terms including kicking nuclear issue down the road for the next round of negotiations. Reopening the strait is probably the primary goal here for the next 60 days. And they are talking about some reparations too. Richard Diaz put this out on X, and you can see public sector, only real area that's increased in payroll. Imagine that. The government gets bigger with a government like this, rather not saving money, spending more money. Quick look at the weather. You can see the next 7 days moisture in Alberta and western part of Saskatchewan, basically where the planting has already happened. And the 14-day outlook, it shows moisture going across the growing area in the prairies for sure. So that's a good thing. Drought monitor came out, and you can see red winter, 69% drought now. So a little bit of moisture fell in some areas, so reducing drought from the previous week from 70 to 69. When you look at soil moisture in the top 10 centimeters, the northern part of the U.S. and parts of Canada are still deficient. Looking at it just in Western Canada, percent of normal soil moisture, there's still most of Alberta is deficient, and hopefully these rains that they get will help drive that, even though there's still some planting, but there's still time there too. Quick look at the markets here. Basically traded sideways at the moment. It did break out higher yesterday. November canola at 778.90. Soybean oil at trying to break out as well at 77.23, up half a penny a pound. Crude oil down another $1.61 at 87.29. Brent is at 91. Diesel fuel down another 3 cents at 3.58. Soybeans up $4 or 4.5 cents at 11.99. Spring wheat just down a half a penny at 6.76, and hard red winter is down 2 3/4 at 6.61. Oats down 3.5, and corn down 1 1/4. Canadian dollars up or down, but it actually went up yesterday. So quick look at the market. So your November contract has not broken out of to make a higher high as of yet. But when you look at the November contract, broke out higher. And it is, when it's priced in US dollars, it has not broke out higher as of right now. Now, normally don't look at it in US dollars, but when I'm trying to compare it to soybean oil, it's almost identical in the chart. Trying to make a new high, trying to make or trying to break out. Soybean futures here, the November contract. So this is now was resistance. Now it looks like it could be support, and anything up in this area has been welcomed for farmers pricing into new crop. Crude palm oil having trouble, still staying in this wedge. Crude oil, nice slide down, gap lower. Now we're up against a pivot point, basically. If it's going to break through there, likely to get down into that $80 mark, potentially anyway. Brent crude, that pivot point got reached last week and still breaking lower. Diesel fuel, right at this 23.6 retracement value here. So this is the trade between the high and the low from this area. And if it breaks lower, we could retest that low that was made back in middle of April. Gasoline futures, like to keep this coming down. So obviously consumption is slowed down a lot. There's inventories are building. I mentioned that last week as well. Canadian dollar had a huge slide and then a big recovery yesterday. And I'm not certain what made the recovery happen, other than it maybe went too far, but it's sitting at the 78.6 retracement value and up against some of the short-term moving averages, trying to trade back through them. U.S. dollar index has been basically flat, so Canadian dollar and the U.S. dollar are not doing the exact same thing. Here's your Minneapolis wheat. So you can see that the slide down has not made it back to the 2.5 week old or 3 week old low that was made in these highs. And same thing with the November or December hasn't made it there yet either. And yet the Kansas is right at that value right now, and Chicago's already getting close to it as well. It's just not quite there yet. Here's European milling wheat. Obviously this is resistance here, and it bumps its head on there and goes back down. Corn futures broke below this pivot point and trying to get back above it here. Oat futures, nice trend up here.